When a car starts successfully but then begins to sputter and shuts off, the issue typically falls into one of several core systems: the fuel system, ignition system, air intake, engine sensors, or a few other less common causes. Understanding how these systems function helps explain why the car might die shortly after starting. In the fuel system, problems often stem from a failing fuel pump or a faulty fuel pump relay. These components may allow enough fuel pressure for the engine to start, but fail to maintain it, causing the engine to run lean or cut out entirely. A clogged fuel filter or dirty fuel injectors can also restrict flow, starving the engine after the initial fuel surge used to start it. Additionally, contaminated fuel, such as water in the tank or the wrong fuel type, can lead to poor combustion and stalling. The ignition system is another frequent source of trouble. Faulty spark plugs or ignition coils can result in a weak or inconsistent spark, causing the engine to misfire, idle roughly, and then stall. If the crankshaft or camshaft position sensors malfunction, they can send incorrect timing signals to the engine's computer. This can lead to the engine shutting down shortly after it starts, especially when the components are heat-sensitive and begin to fail after warming up. Air intake issues also play a significant role in engine performance. A dirty or faulty mass airflow (MAF) sensor can provide incorrect readings to the engine control unit, resulting in an improper air-fuel mixture. Similarly, vacuum leaks from hoses or gaskets introduce unmetered air, leaning out the fuel mixture and causing a rough idle or stalling. Problems with the throttle body or idle air control valve, both of which regulate air during idle, can also disrupt airflow and lead to a shutdown. Engine sensors such as the oxygen sensor or engine coolant temperature sensor influence how the vehicle adjusts its fuel and ignition strategies. If these sensors provide false data, the engine may run too rich or lean, leading to sputtering and stalling soon after startup. These issues are particularly difficult to spot without scanning the engine computer. Other causes include a clogged catalytic converter, which can lead to excessive back pressure in the exhaust, choking the engine. In some vehicles, an active anti-theft system or immobilizer may allow the engine to start but immediately cut off fuel or spark as a security measure. In rare cases, especially in older carbureted engines, dieseling, where the engine keeps trying to run after being shut off due to residual fuel and heat, can also create sputtering or rough shutdowns. To diagnose these issues, a methodical approach is key. First, use an OBD scanner to check for diagnostic trouble codes, which can point directly to misfires, sensor failures, or fuel system issues. Check the fuel pressure using a gauge to determine whether the pump and regulator are maintaining proper levels. If fuel pressure drops after startup, it may indicate a failing pump or a restricted filter. Inspect the spark plugs and ignition coils, replacing any that look worn or corroded. Clean the mass airflow sensor using MAF-safe cleaner and examine the throttle body and idle air control valve for carbon buildup. Check for vacuum leaks by listening for a hissing sound or spraying carb cleaner near suspected areas and watching for engine RPM changes. Sensor readings should be tested using a multimeter or scan tool to ensure components like the crank sensor, oxygen sensor, and coolant temperature sensor are working correctly. To test for a clogged catalytic converter, remove the upstream oxygen sensor temporarily and see if engine performance improves. If it does, back pressure from the exhaust may be the issue. During diagnosis, take note of sensory observations. Listen for unusual engine sounds like coughing or sputtering. Pay attention to smells, such as unburned fuel or sulfur, which can point to rich mixtures or exhaust issues. Watch for dashboard indicators like the check engine light, and observe whether the symptoms occur when the engine is hot or cold, which can further narrow down sensor or ignition-related problems. Basic tools can greatly assist in this process. An OBD scanner provides access to fault codes and live sensor data. A fuel pressure gauge can verify whether fuel is reaching the engine effectively. A multimeter allows for testing sensor circuits and voltages, and a spark tester can check for ignition strength. Brake cleaner or carb cleaner can be used to detect vacuum leaks when sprayed near potential leak points. An MAF cleaner can be used to safely clean the mass airflow sensor. Some of these tasks are suitable for DIY mechanics with basic tools and knowledge. Replacing spark plugs, cleaning sensors, checking for vacuum leaks, and swapping out air filters or fuel filters can be done at home. However, more complex jobs, such as replacing a fuel pump, servicing injectors, diagnosing electrical faults in sensors, or replacing a catalytic converter, are better left to professional mechanics due to safety risks and the need for specialized tools and experience. To summarize the diagnostic process, begin by scanning for codes. If any appear, follow their troubleshooting paths. If there are no codes, check fuel pressure and clean the air intake components. Listen for vacuum leaks and examine the ignition system. If all else seems normal, test the relevant engine sensors and inspect the exhaust for blockages. If the problem persists and no clear cause is found, it may be time to consult a professional technician.